Happy cool weather, people. How are you today? You are up front with Frank Rothstein on Sky's Crescent Radio, and we are broadcasting to you live on YouTube. And of course, we are sharing the stream over to Facebook on two different pages. The Up Front with Frank Facebook page, uh, and of course, well, my personal page, and of course, to the Sky's Crescent Radio page. So that's three of us. Wow. Yeah, we're all over the place. Not to mention all of the regular streaming sites we go to. We're on what iHeart still. We're on Spreaker.com. I believe we're on iHeart, Jade. Okay, she's nodding her head yes. And sitting in silence somewhere deep within inside of her firework lit studio, somewhere deep in the ends of the earth, is of course Jade Zabrick. Jade is busy building her studio, and she's got a lot going on there right now. I think the next thing for full effect is to get mannequins to simulate a horn section in a band, and we'll get them like robots, like they just keep moving and banging and stuff. And that way we look like she's always has a band behind her. Otherwise, it's taking shape pretty good. I see the drum set. I'm seeing one or two guitars. I see two guitars, some lights. I see a keyboard, a mixer stand table. The mic stand has been moved. I see it. And you have big lights splash behind you. So it's taking shape. How was everybody's week this week, by the way? Since all of you had snow. And yes, we all know there was lots of snow out there. Manhattan, well, we had some snow. But what I noticed is, which when it was busier before everyone started closing down, was the blocks weren't all that bad because everybody who had a storefront had to sweep out and dig out and sweep out in front of the store. So you had clear paths to walk on. But I was in the village, the Greenwich Village, the other day on Bleecker Street, and that's not the case. If you're in an area where there's a lot of storefronts that are closed down, there's nobody to dig out. If it's in a building where people live, the super comes out, he sweeps the doorway, but they're not sweeping in front of the storefront, which is usually a pretty wide area. So I noticed a lot of packed snow spots, which could be slippery. And of course, the next day the slush came out. I'd rather have powdery stuff to step on because I know what it is. But be careful out there because it is pretty slippery still in certain spots. Although this week will get a little warmer, but that just means a lot more snow will melt when it gets colder, and you have more ice spots. Just be careful, please. Right? It's been an interesting week. It really has been an interesting week in what's going on in the world. Excuse me, I had an itch. My most interesting story, which is you're hearing it all over the news, which I normally don't do, but this one interested me, is Spotify and their dilemma with Joe Rogan and their dilemma with, well, artists like Neil Young, Nils Lofgren, and and it's a few people calling for this. It's musicians pulling out of Spotify. It's interesting because people want to take a stand with what they do. I think that's great. Certainly, it's their right to take it off their platform if they want. Joe Rogan is under contract to Spotify and be getting, by the time it's done, about $100 million. And he does have one of the bigger podcasts out in the world. He's got it. When he tunes on any given day, it could be 11 million people listening to him at one time. So we all know by now that it was over him saying a few things about COVID that others did not agree with. And of course, people like Neil Young pulled out, Joni Mitchell pulled out, Nils Lofgren pulled out. And again, it's just, people in a position that they could. Now, I don't know who else agrees with pulling their music off of that platform. But when you're Neil Young, who just sold your entire library, your entire song catalog for hundreds of millions, you can do what you want. But for the average musician who is not in that position, they sort of have to stay. They're making their living. So yeah, I guess it just depends on what spot you're in life. With that, I gotta say, it's an interesting thing. Not whether you disagree, whether you agree or disagree with Joe Rogan, or whether you would disagree or disagree with any musician or with Spotify itself. But I sort of understand the spot that Spotify is in, because within a day or two, they let Neil Young's music go. They just took it off. Now, whether they're obligated to or not is one issue, but they sort of have to. It's not because whether you agree with Neil Young or any other musician or not. It's because it's their business. And I don't mean I'm worried about their profits. I mean, it's their business. They own it. They are in charge of it. Any one particular person coming in and says it's me, like any other argument you have with somebody in your life where they say to you, it's them or me. It's him or me. It's you sort of have to go with the other side, because if you lose that argument, you'll never win another one. So they sort of have to not side with the musician or the podcaster or anyone else. Not unless it's like everybody is pulling off and they have a problem. Of course, yeah, if there is a dollar figure involved, and if everyone keeps pulling out, it will exceed Joe Rogan. But as a general rule, when someone tells you it's this, that, or me, or I got to go, you got to sort of let them do what they have to do. It's just the way it works. Otherwise, that person is running your company. As for Joe Rogan, well, he made an Instagram video. He was sort of trying to straighten things out, make things right with Spotify, and did a 10-minute clip of addressing what was going on, and was pretty much swearing to do better, and trying to apologize, I guess, and But in the meantime, well, maybe when things cool down, if an agreement can be reached with the people who pull their product off of the platform, everyone will return. So far, I believe it's only 3 that have made the news. I'm not aware of anyone that is not famous, someone that we really don't know, just someone doing a general podcast that has gone. I mean, pretty much. Now, the problem with what was going on in his podcast was he was telling people what he thought of COVID and vaccinations, and who should get them, who shouldn't, and all that kind of stuff. And of course, we'll start with most famous Neil Young, didn't agree with it and wanted to pull out. Fair enough. Well, one thing that people like Joe Rogan or anyone else who does a podcast, all the way down to little old me's, is we're pretty much doing the same thing. Sitting in front of a microphone and we're talking. Whether we have a guest or not, we are talking, we're discussing. Whatever it is we're discussing. You've heard me do it before. When you hear us talk about, and since the subject of the day was COVID, no matter what you hear us say, don't take our word for it. I mean, what do you ever really hear me say? I can't tell you what to do. It's up to you to get, whether you get vaccinated or not, but I would suggest you do. I'll give you all the practical reasons. I mean, I've often had, made statements about that. But one thing you should never do is take my advice for it. I can tell you what I think. I can tell you what worked for me. I can tell you a lot of things, but I can't tell you what to do. And you shouldn't listen to me, Joe Rogan, anyone on Fox, CNN, NBC, any other podcast or news outlet. I don't care if it's a doctor on television telling you this. Why? Because a doctor speaks to, on television, 1 million people. But your doctor knows you, and you come with your own set of instructions, so to say. Your body has its own particular needs. You have your own health concerns, your own illnesses. You have whatever it is you have. So your doctor, not someone you see on TV, your doctor knows you. and that's the person to talk about. I will tell you that I think if after keep breathing and keep drinking water, that my medical advice is pretty much useless after that. I mean, I will suggest if you feel a pain in your mouth, go see a dentist. Other than that, you don't have to go see the dentist. But definitely, after keep breathing and keep drinking water, I'm pretty much useless in this area. If you have a cut in your finger, I'll recommend the Band-Aid. After, things like that. But for any serious medical concerns, don't listen to a podcaster. Don't listen to anyone, to a doctor on the news. Don't listen to anyone. Call up your doctor, call up your team of doctors and see what they got to say. Because that's who I called. That's definitely who I called. 2 years ago, or coming up on 2 years, I had COVID. I keep saying it. I was mild, or I lost with smell and taste. I sort of knew it when the day I lost the taste, the smell. I was sitting here, right here, and I was making a pot of coffee. I was drinking it, and I couldn't taste it. I thought I made a weak pot. So I went to go do it again. I still couldn't taste it. So I figured maybe the coffee went bad. So I opened it up. I couldn't smell it. So I opened the fresh container. I couldn't smell it. So I couldn't smell bleach. I knew what it meant. I gave it a day just in case, whatever. Then I called my doctor the second day. Well, I said, well, smell and taste. He goes, yeah, you got it. There was my test. Yeah, you got it. Took me 11 days to get it back. But I called my doctor. I didn't turn on CNN or anyone else to tell me what's going on. That's just how I. So leaving all podcasters out of it, whether our shows are big or small, one guest or no guest or a team of guests, there are only certain things we can tell you. Your health concern should not be one of them. That's just how I think about it. Call your doctor. If I tell you to take 2 and call me in the morning, don't take 2. Don't call me in the morning. Call your doctor. About as good as it gets. Oh yeah, I can tell you have chicken soup. Not feeling good, have chicken soup. But that's just how I was thinking. I do recommend Darjeeling tea. That I always recommend. What else is going on in the world? It's always interesting out there. How many times have we heard someone claim that they were touched, they were harassed, they were this, they were that? Now I'm reading a story. I got this on Business Insider. This is a story of a woman who claims that she was virtually groped by a gang of male avatars in the Metaverse, and that's according to some report. This is a woman in a virtual reality setup. She has that big old white, I don't know, whatever color mask she's wearing, that you plug in and you see whatever reality, whatever game you're plugged into. And she said that she was new at it, and some male players in the game or the metaverses or whatever they are, they grabbed her virtually. They harassed her virtually. Yeah, this is a woman, a London-based mother, that within a minute of joining the virtual world's lobby, male avatars began harassing her. Oh no. Made sexual comments, took screenshots for several minutes. Forgive me for saying that while all mentions of sexual harassment should be taken seriously, in the real world, you have a helmet on your head. You're sitting alone in your house. You have a helmet on your head. You're wearing goggles. You are in virtual reality. It's not real. Don't like what's there, take the helmet off. Don't like what's on television, you turn the dial. You hit the remote. Here it is. You don't like what's going on in your metaverse, take off the goggles. This is not real. No one can grab your body virtually. It doesn't happen that way. This is just, it's just picture like playing an auto game, right? You're in a game. You have your video game going. You crash. You didn't really crash a car. It's a game. So I don't know where people get this idea to mix real life and whatever technology they create for themselves that gives them what's supposed to be a distraction, safe haven, or anything else. But no, I'm sorry to say, putting goggles on your head and turning an on switch on doesn't mean you're really anywhere. You're still sitting in a chair, you're in your house, or in your car, wherever it is you put yourself when you started playing, when you went into this, whatever it is. And you had a couple of rude guys that joined, they saw what's supposed to be a female, and there they go. What's his Horizon platform is Horizon Worlds. A meta internal investigation concluded that the victim had not enabled the safety features. Maybe it's me, but I don't know what safety features that there are. I mean, here's the safety feature. Take it off. Turn it off. So that was there. Now I'm looking at some other story from today from Associated Press. And this is Faith in the Metaverse, virtual reality quest for community and fellowship. And this is under quarantine for COVID-19 exposure. Garrett Bernal and his family missed their recent Sunday church service. So he strapped on a virtual reality headset and explored what it would be like to worship in the metaverse. All right, put the same goggles on, put on the same helmet, and now, excuse me, he found a way to worship inside of a virtual reality system. And what did he find? Floating in a 3D outer space wonderland, pastures, rocky cliffs, rivers, as the avatar of a pastor guided him and others through computer-generated illustrations of biblical passages that seemed to come to life as they prayed. All right. All right. It says, I couldn't have had such an immersive church experience sitting in my pew. Okay. Again, worship any way you want, believe whatever you want, but you're not in the church. You're sitting in your living room with a helmet on your head. Now, I have mentioned this before. Me not being a very religious person, not being someone who prays too often, but if there's any truth to the thought of God is everywhere, then if for any reason you cannot be in the church, in a synagogue, in a mosque, anywhere, if there's any reason why wherever you would normally go to pray, to worship, to sing, you know, with the community, if God is truly everywhere, then you can sit anywhere. You can sit by the park. You can sit by a tree. You can focus on an object. You can do anything you want and talk to God. God hears you. That's the thought. No matter where you are, God hears you. So again, I'm glad this person and his family had some fun and enjoyed going into virtual reality. But if that becomes more visually and now mentally stimulating than going to church, watch out, church. Like anything else, the internet can do that. The internet to me, can crush more businesses, more tangible, more brick and mortar business than anything in the world. Because if I go to my synagogue, if I go to my church, if I go to my mosque, well, I'll be with whoever's going to be leading the service. I'll be with the other people. We'll all be there together. But I won't have floating vistas and church, and I won't have all this stuff going on. So I may find, if you're into this stuff, someone may find that it's better to sit home and pray. So, sit home, pray, do what you got to do. People own Bibles, people know the prayers, do what you got to do. But again, when it comes to religion, whatever gets you through your day, just keep in mind that virtual reality is not real. Hence the word virtual. But okay, you're hooked into a stream, an internet stream. There are other people there. So you're alone, but you're not alone. But put it this way, if you are in church and you go for communion, if you get away from it, you can't, there's no one there to give it to you. If you are, maybe one day they'll have virtual weddings. I don't know. But right now, you're sitting in your living room, in your kitchen, wherever it is you put yourself. You plug this thing in, you put it on your head, and this is what's going on in the moment. Just keep perspective, not virtual perspective, real perspective. You're not there. That's just how I think of it. But good luck, and people enjoy it. I think that's great. What else is going on in the world? There's so much of it going on in the world right now. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned last week, Tennessee, the school board in Tennessee banned the book Mouse. That was the author Art Spiegelman, who was condemned for the movies Orwellian. It's a mouse is a mouse who is portrayed as being in a concentration camp. The mice are supposedly his parents who were in a camp. And Tennessee, along with books on racism, banned the book Mouse. Okay. That has now led over the last week from this being the #2 book sold on, I believe, on Amazon. It becomes a what? Let's see, Mouse tops bestseller list after Tennessee school district yanks it from the curriculum. Well, everybody wanted to know what they were missing on. Not many people know it. Not many people know what Mouse is. I understand that. I do, especially kids wouldn't know it. So I don't know who's buying it now, but it's on the bestseller list again. Tennessee should have kept their mouth shut because now everyone's reading it. Yeah, top bestseller list, and it was #3 best-selling book on Amazon. That's pretty big. So anyway, yeah, well, I think they did Art Spiegelman a favor. Everybody's reading his book again. What can I say, right? This is what's going on. But MAUS, you can Google it, you could see it, Let's see. Yeah, it's a graphic novel from an 8th grade language arts curriculum. So it's made for children to understand. But okay, just so, everyone is now, that was something not to be worried about, was worried about. And you see how it's working out. Speaking of things that people are worried about, shifting a little gear over here. Well, we're not canceling her, but she's getting an upgrade. Minnie Mouse, the CNN style area, fashion. Minnie Mouse, Mickey's wife, girlfriend, whatever. No, Olive Oil was Popeye's girlfriend. Minnie Mouse, I guess, is his wife. I don't know what she is. She's getting a makeover also. Minnie's going from that nice little red dress to a pantsuit. It looks to be, from this picture, like a bluish purple. I don't know, something nice, deep blue with big black dots on it. I don't know why. She needed an upgrade. She needed an upgrade. She needed to be. What was this? Inclusive? I don't even know why this is. Why are we upgrading Minnie Mouse? This is like upgrading Olive Oil. Minnie wore the same clothing since the day the character was created, as has Olive Oil. If you look at a Popeye right now, Popeye got a cartoon or comic. There's Olive Oil in that same dress. She's Olive Oil. He's still eating spinach. He is not going to kale. He's still strong to the finish because he eats his spinach. So no, he's not popping open a can of kale. No, this is, to me, it's just ridiculous. Pantsuits are a staple in female leaders' wardrobes, with politicians including former German Chancellor Angela Merkel, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Vice President Kamala Harris, and each has, their own take on the style, pantsuits. So, of course, Minnie Mouse needed an upgrade. There's so many other things to worry about. Every week we have a condition out there with, oh, shut up. There's some, they're waiting on a red light. Sorry. Every week we have a new strain of an upgrade on the coronavirus, a condition that keeps changing depending on the time of day. And people are worried about Minnie Mouse. This is one of the stupider things I can imagine. You might as well put a toupee on Charlie Brown's head. I'm telling you, why not just change the breed of Snoopy? Why not do a lot of things? Why does Mickey Mouse, why do they have to be mice? Make him a different animal, make him a different rodent. And that's all he is a rodent. It felt good. Yeah, so I just don't get this. Everyone is worried about nothing. Nothing. That's all this is. Like changing the M&Ms, so they should be less sexy. They should be a couple of different colors added. They should be more inclusive. They're M&Ms. You're gonna pop them in your mouth. Doesn't make a difference. But okay. That's just me ranting, I guess. Okay, well. What is this? Oh, yeah. But on Fox News, on Jesse Waters' show, Candace Owens said, "Chating at Minnie Mouse and pants is an attempt to destroy the fabrics of our society." I wouldn't go that far either. It's just Minnie Mouse. Just leave her alone. This is what goes on in the world. Everyone's thinking about nothing and worried too much about it. Want to worry about something? I'm reading this from the NBC news site. Nurses in Long Island made $1.5 million on fake vaccine card scam. Yes, they did. 2 nurses working on Long Island are accused of forging official COVID-19 vaccination cards and entering the information into the New York State database. And that brought in supposedly over 1.5 million. So Julie Devuono, excuse me, Devuono, and Marissa Arroyo, they worked at Wild Child Pediatric Healthcare in Amityville. Devuono is the clinic's owner and operator, and they have been, well, they're being charged. They were charging $220 for adults and $85 for children. Well, now, so here you had someone trying to make money quick. She owns the clinic. Now we'll see if that even stays on the books. Their bookkeeping was pretty much notepads, scratch paper. So anyway, they were both arrested. They are both charged, and we'll see what happens there. I think that sucks. That's just me, but okay. What else here? Here's one. Senator Ted Cruz. We haven't heard his name in a few days. Senator Ted Cruz is joining some other Republicans slamming, let's say the word they're using, slamming President Biden's vow to name a Black woman to the Supreme Court, calling it offensive. And that's because Senator Cruz, I'm not quite sure why. He called it, why? He called the promise offensive and an insult to Black women in a podcast that he was on Monday morning. Something about Black women, or what? He says, or what, 6% of the US population? That I'm quoting him right now. He's saying 94% of Americans, I don't give a damn about. That's what he's saying. You're catering to 6% as opposed to not caring about 94%. Well, how does Senator Cruz know that the other 94% are against this? Me personally, just give me someone who knows what the hell they're doing. I'll take anybody who knows what they're doing. I don't think, I don't know. It's not like presidents haven't nominated women to the Supreme Court before. You know, we just recently lost Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We had Sandra Day O'Connor. That was President Reagan's pick. Donald Trump elected a woman to the office. So I'm not quite sure exactly what Senator Ted's crying about. I wonder how he would feel if another Jew got onto the bench. Well, either way, we'll see who President Biden picks. Senator Cruz is like so many other people in so many other fields who just doesn't know when to not say a word, to keep their mouth shut. Shifting gears into the world. Let's get a little international, shall we? I'm reading here, it's a site called Big Think. And they publish stories that you really don't see in the newspapers too often either. China's school kids beat American students in all academic categories. That will be math, science, academics. That's according to the 2018 results. The test administered by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development was given to 600,000 15-year-olds across 79 countries. It intended to serve as a global measuring stick for education systems in different parts of the world within varying socioeconomic conditions. Well, China came out on top. Why am I not surprised that China would beat out America on this? Why would I not be surprised? Listen, I am from America. I'm from New York. I'm from Brooklyn, actually. Yes, this is my country, but I'm not blind as to what's going on. This is the country that worries about everybody's feelings. No kid can lose. No kid can be told they're doing something wrong. And well, matter of fact, all the kids that I remember from 20 years ago, 22 years ago, who are now adults now, were grown up. Everybody got a trophy just for showing up. Games were banned from gym class, certain sports from recess, because kids might get hurt. Everybody is a winner. Nobody has to do better. And everybody, every kid, well, they turned out this way, to the point where I was talking about it a few years ago, that colleges were offering courses in how to fail. That's because, well, I don't know what it's like with your kids now, but I didn't grow up with my parents telling me how brilliant I was at every last thing I do. That's the wrong, that wasn't the way it was. No, none of the kids I knew were that way. It was a little bit different. Yeah, your feelings got hurt. Yeah, you lost. Did I expect to go play ball with my friends and win every last game? I mean, I could see kids thinking that now. But no, you lose. You lose to the people who are a little better than you at it. And then hopefully you get better and you catch up and you do better than them. You finally win one. Yeah, US ranked level 3 in reading and science, level 2 in math. Okay, do better. In China, in Korea, in Japan, where they teach kids all year long, where they're trained, where they're starting from the beginning of time to do things, another red light, where they're taught to study, to work, to improve, to give everything you have and to succeed. Whoa, there you go. Someone's not moving at the green light. This is what they're taught. But then again, I always remember an example of this when I love to watch the World Baseball Classic when it runs. It's like the international competition for baseball. I call it an international job. Of course, a lot of them looking to come to the United States for Major League Baseball. And during that time, remember A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, made a statement that he couldn't understand why, was it the Korean team was not making errors throughout the tournament. He couldn't understand why they weren't. Well, it's because they took an hour and a half of infield practice every game before the game started. They prepared. They studied up. They knew what they were ready to go. They were ready to compete. Whereas in America, everybody needs a coffee break. We need a day off. I need my rest and my leisure. And I'm not saying people should work 24 hours a day to the point that they're falling on the floor from exhaustion. Of course not. People need, they need a little balance in their life, of course. But, don't be surprised when someone beats out America if you're one of the people who think America is the best in every last thing, because in many areas, we're not. And you may see that in a few days when the Olympics starts, because the Olympics are starting. And again, it's the Winter Olympics, so start watching. I love watching skiing myself. But yeah, that's what it is. And there are reasons why certain countries excel in certain areas. And I have no idea what's going on outside. Sorry about that. But that is what's going on in the school system. The Chinese have beaten out America in academics. What else? Let me get rid of this. Let's see. Oh, I like this story. We're shifting gears again. I was looking at the paper today, and some guy who was betting on the NFL turned a $20 gambling site credit into a $579,000 winning thing on an insane championship parlay. And that's when you build one into the other, into the other. And that's what he did. That's just what he did. He took a bet and he bet the Bengals to beat the Chiefs 27-24, correct score, 20-17. He got that. Okay. He got that. And he just kept taking money odds on it. And he wound up winning on different bets. He just wound up taking, picking the numbers, picking this and that. And he wound up on two different games, the Rams and the 49ers, the Bengals and the Chiefs. And he wound up betting, and he wound up turning $20 into $579,020. I think that's great. I really do. Good for him. That's what it's all about. Turn something into nothing. Let's see. He's speaking of turning nothing into something. Excuse me. But as my first mistake was turning something into nothing, I'm looking at an article from WINS Radio. This was from last Tuesday. The Theater Center, which is home to off-Broadway plays, The Perfect Crime, The Office, which is a parody, was stripped of its copper pipes on Thursday. Last week, this was reported. Someone stole the copper piping out of the theater building. So there was no heat, no hot water. Water was everywhere. And the plays had to be closed down for a while. This will cost a fortune, and who knows how much time in repairs, because some lowlife who has to know what they're doing to get all this stuff cleaned out all the copper piping. People losing jobs. I'm not sure if they found whoever did it or not. I'm sure they will. Let's see what else is going on here. What else is going on here? There's so many things. There's so many things. But we're going to start winding down a little bit here. I'm looking at an article that says, Jonathan, the world's oldest ever tortoise, is 190. 190. Wow. Now, I don't know how long this tortoise can really go for. But yeah, 190. That's why when you own something like this, who's basically a reptile, you have to plan not just what happens in case you go, generations down the line. You really have to plan, and it has to be known that the next generation will plan for a generation down the line, because this animal this tortoise is almost 200 years old, and that is 200 is what? 4 generations? 200, 5 generations? Yeah, could be very easily. So yeah, look at that. Five. I don't know how, depending, I guess, on when people are born. I mean, this can be 8 generations, to be quite honest. Not really sure. But yeah, this is it. Jonathan is 190. Now, when I'm on, when I go look at my TikTok videos or YouTube videos, I like to look at the tortoise Tiptoe and his owner, Caitlin. Tiptoe. Tiptoe is a 20-year-old tortoise. He weighs 175 pounds. Tiptoe was he has a respiratory infection. And Caitlin, I think, is, 30, 31, whatever she is. Caitlin has to plan for down the road what to do with Tiptoe because this tortoise can easily, and he's not done growing yet, easily outlive her. And I don't know what her family plans are, or who's looking out for this thing, but yeah, she needs to plan this out. Yeah, this Jonathan was born in 1832. Got it? So yeah, when you're owning something like this, you really want to have it well planned. But that's just what I think. Now we have this. Oh, let me kill this volume. Okay, that's a terrible. I don't know if you heard that. I'm listening to a TurboTax commercial. Speaking of which, I have to get my taxes done. So I'm looking at this from Fox Business. Excuse me, one of those days. And the new emoji is out. Again, we have to be inclusive. Everyone has to share the experience. Everybody has to be, a pregnant man, pregnant person emoji is coming to Apple iPhones. Pregnant man, pregnant person. It's an emoji. I see a blonde woman in gray, a blonde guy in blue, each with equally big stomachs holding on to them. And everybody is included. Can't just have sympathy pregnancies anymore. The emoji has to be pregnant. I don't know if the emoji can deliver, but somehow, well, you want to have a little cartoon figure to represent who knows what of a, as of now, impossible thing. Go ahead. I think it's a bit ridiculous myself, but go ahead. Um, yeah, so that's what's going on in the world of Apple right now. I don't know where people get all this stuff from. I don't know who thinks of this stuff. The pregnant emoji comes in 5 different skin tones. So when you're selecting an emoji, users can hold their finger on the icon until it shows different tone options. Aha. There's an emoji just for you. Person, man, woman. Well, I'm looking at person, I'm looking at man, they look exactly the same. Woman looks like woman, but person and man look exactly, well, not quite exactly. It's somewhere in between. I'm looking for it. It's somewhere in between. All right, I got it. Okay, we got it. We got it. So anyway, again, good luck. Worrying about fictitious things, worrying about things that really aren't all that real, and making it an issue, which is why I don't know why I'm reading it, but okay. This is what goes on. This is the world that we're in. I don't quite get it. I really I don't quite get it, but okay, that's what's going on. Uh, this one here, for everyone who's talks about racism and wants things important. The headline is, this is from Yard Barker. So I got this over Microsoft News. And it says here, this is the old baseball system. It says Negro Leagues Baseball Museum to display a vandalized Jackie Robinson plaque. Jackie Robinson, if you don't know, was the first player of color, first black player in Major League Baseball as we know now. Before that, it was separated into Major League Baseball and the Negro Leagues, which the Negro Leagues had fantastic talent. Excellent athletes, excellent baseball players. If you study up, you'll see that Satchel Paige came from that league. Jackie Robinson, so many players came out of that league. And someone decided to vandalize it a little while back, but it's going up on display, repaired, I'm assuming. And I'm glad the plaque is going up. Jackie Robinson was a hell of a player, one of the best ever. The if you're into the study of racism, black and white in America, study up on the Negro Leagues. There's plenty of documentaries out. There's plenty of reading material. You will find a lot of interesting stories. You really will. You will find interesting stories about a lot of subjects and people in areas where you do not expect to see it. not many people think about this as opposed to thinking about racism or just areas of interest of someone who was black at one time or another. But at that time, there was all sorts, whether it's in sports, music, any aspect of life, you will find interesting stories in many, many places. I keep going back to boxing because I think everybody should study up on the former heavyweight champion, Jack Johnson. I really do. It's an interesting case. It really is. And that, because of Jack Johnson, that is the era, that is where the phrase the great white hope comes from. That is not whatever it's defined as today. That originally came out, I think, 1915. They will bring, he was dominating boxing. He was the heavyweight champion, and anyone they put in front of him could not beat him. So they figured they had someone who could. They brought out the former heavyweight champion, Jim Jeffries, who had now been 5 years retired, happy on his farm, gained about 80, 85 pounds. They brought him out to lose all kinds of weight, to look pretty good doing it, and go save white America from Jack. And of course, he got himself beat. Jack Johnson beat the crap out of him. And he was, while he was doing it, he was laughing because he knew why they sent this. They knew why they sent Jim Jeffries in to fight him. And he was laughing, not at the opponent taking the beating so much, but at everybody who organized this. He was laughing at America. And again, it is a very interesting subject, Jack Johnson. But then again, like I said, study if you're interested, study up on the Negro Leagues. Read about the teams, where everybody came from, their talent level. It's a good subject. It really is a very good subject to study up on, or at least to look through. Put it that way. Look through. What else? Around town, I signed up for my free COVID test whenever those come in the mail. I'm debating if it's time for another booster or not. I walked into a CVS, talked to a pharmacist I know a couple of months ago. I asked, he said, well, you're really wasting your time at this stage, but maybe it's been a couple of months later, maybe. I don't know. I'll see if I go in. I don't know. I'll see. But I'm waiting for that. I understand there's some free N95 masks coming out now. So if you go into, I think Walgreens and Kroger's have them now, but check your CVS as time goes on. I know they're going to be getting them. Other than that, you just do the best you can. But unless you see my room shaking, don't believe me if I say there's an earthquake. Don't believe us. If I tell you what to, if you hear anyone on the radio, anyone on television, telling you what to do for your health or anything else for that matter, ignore us and check with your local whoever. Trust me, if there's a fire in your building, there's a fire in your home, don't call me, call 911. It works something like that. Excuse me, it's just my throat today. I don't know why, my throat's a little bit scratchy. We get a lot of dry heat in my apartment and it's nice and cold outside. I always get this. No, I'm not sick again. And what else is going on? Well, still doing the weight thing, still doing the battling of the weight. You know, the scale still moving a little bit counterclockwise. Been stuck in the same area a little bit, so I have to tweak the plan a little bit, but it's going, it's moving. You know, it's moving. I'm working on my beach body for 2025. And everything else is going pretty well. Well, it's a nice warm 30 degrees out right now. I'm happy about that. And I'm going to be plotting and scheming my dinner. I'm not quite sure what it's going to be. If anyone has a suggestion, please send it in. You can always write to us with whatever you want. Write to me at upfrontfrank@gmail.com, upfrontfrank@gmail.com. You can email Jade Zabrick at jadezabrick@gmail.com and ask her about her enlightened studio, her very light, bright studio, her high-tech studio, what's going on with her band, The Trainwalkers, and maybe, maybe you're putting on a gig. maybe you want to set them up. That's not a two-piece band. That could be upwards 13, depending on what day of the week it is, what the gig calls for. They do come well stocked with musicians and artists. People can tell you what's going on musically. But don't contact the train walkers for your COVID advice either. Call your doctor. And everyone else, everything else is going okay. Um, that's pretty much what's going on in the world, at least for me. There's so many other things that after a while, yeah, they're just so ridiculous. They really are. So I don't even bother. Some of them are even too stupid for me. I read so many stories where they're just better. You're better off if the person making a statement will just generally keep their mouth shut, like the actors who made. There was a funeral procession this weekend for a cop who was slain the other, early week, late last week. So all the police came out, the streets were lined, so on and so on. There's an actress who opened her mouth on everything's on social media, cursing it, upset about it, all that. And her theater company let her go because they support the police. Then there was another person in the train station. Well, she was getting the police for not paying their fare and for not wearing a mask. Well, I'll give you, maybe they should have all worn a mask. But police normally don't pay a fare. They're all coming from burying one of their own. They don't let them walk through the gate. What's the difference? It doesn't make a difference. Sometimes you're just better off keeping your mouth shut. Nothing's going to come of it anyway. So just keep it to yourself. Same as the math teacher at Coney Island Prep, who opened his mouth and his statement was taken as calling for violence against the police. No, well, he has to go also. Teachers shouldn't be doing that. Teachers supposed to educate, hopefully stand for something, and not screw up kids even more screwed up than they can already be. And that's just what I gotta know. That's what I'm thinking. Well, tonight I'll be on Facebook watching live music at MZIC. Mondays, MONDAYZ. And you'll see that on Facebook. That's our friend Catherine Lewis and her friends sitting there singing away, talking about all the new equipment, what they want to sell, and all that stuff. And you'll see their deal for 2 hours. Jade, is there anything coming up that you want to tell us about? Anything? Jade's keeping it quiet. She's keeping it a surprise. She wouldn't tell me before. I try to put her on the spot. It ain't working. She's good that way. Jade is tight to the vest. Yeah, she's good that way. Meantime, like I say, her studio is taking shape. And I know that the design that she has of a green screen makes the room look bigger than it really is. Because I know I've seen the size of this room. I've seen it. So I know it's not this kind of big, but that's pretty good. Like a Star Trek holodeck. So anyway, that is the story. I will see everybody next week again for the last time. Don't listen to us. Call your doctor, call your pharmacist. If you want to take two and call me in the morning, I'll say hello, but don't take anything I say or what Joe Rogan says to heart. Believe me, we're here to talk to you. We're not here to treat you. But I want everyone to do well. So be careful. Do what you got to do. Take it easy. And I will see you next week, same time, same channel. Good night.